I grew up in a Christian household. However, my parents were separated, so I was always in between two households, and that took a toll on me emotionally. When I was about 7 years old, we went to the movies, but it turned out my dad owed money to some of these terrible people. It was late at night. We came out of the movies, and I remember we were in his car. These guys came up, they pulled him over, and they forced him out of the car. They beat him up, and they took him away. I was terrified. I was a 7-year-old kid. I remember my first instinct was to pray, and a couple minutes after I prayed, I just poked my head out of the car window and started yelling for help. And this guy in a motorcycle, he stopped at the car and he had a gun in his hand. And he just stared at me for what felt like hours. And then he just left. The next day, I was of course told by my mom, my poor mother, that my dad had been killed. And I was meant to die as well that night because I was a witness and I was meant to be there. And the rest from there on of my childhood is a complete blur. When my teenage years came, where your hormones go everywhere, I think I just exploded. So when I was around my 1920s, I hit my lowest point. I was angry at the world, I was angry at God, I was even angry at myself. My way to cope with it was to drink and party. So time went by and I decided that I had to make a change in my life. I came here and I came to study. When I graduated, a lot of my friends left and I felt very lonely, and something inside of me was telling me that I should look for a church. I met a girl. I saw on her Facebook that she was attending an event from Hillsong, and the first Sunday I went, it was such an overwhelming feeling. And it was so nice to meet people that just embraced you immediately, and I pretty quickly just kind of felt at home. Like I had found a place here in Milan. I had found people whom I can, relate to, who wouldn't judge me no matter anything I had ever done. After a couple months, I remember that the thought of getting baptized popped up in my head. And it was a pretty big deal for me because I had been so against everything to do with God for a really long time. So I got baptized and it was an amazing thing. I felt like a new person. And soon after, I was approached by one of the girls at church, and she asked me if I wanted to be part of the comms team. I work with social media, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to just get even more involved in church. It's been kind of like a full circle. It's just something so much greater than anything I could have imagined, and I just think God basically planned this. This was part of my purpose in life.